Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Adrian and I want to ask you a question. Have you ever tried creating a game? Have you ever tried posting it publicly? Well, I have, and it turns out that my games kinda sucked. They're like kinda dull, they're not fun to play, and I received a lot of hate comments, I would say, but that's exactly the point. If you want to know the secret in what makes a game fun, then stick around because this video is definitely for you. Recently I found out about a book called Game Feel, and it treats exactly this problem. How can we solve making a game fun to play, especially for people that come from a development side, which is kind of really hard to understand the concepts, different than programming, I would say. So without further ado, let's move on, and I'll show you a sample project that I made based on the last project that I've worked with. It is a car game, and in this project we'll take it step by step with examples on how exactly almost the same implementation can be turned from point A, which is not fun at all to play and to enjoy, to something that's much more bearable, at least in my opinion. So I hope that you'll feel the same. If you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Much appreciated. I divided this video into 3 parts: context, control, and the last, visual effects, starting with the game context. The main take for here is the importance of the impression of speed and motion. I started with a demo in which I use a car, and if we see, as I'm accelerating, nothing happens except the speed changes. In the scene, the actual car changes its velocity and position, but we can just see a speed change. But for example, if we add a street as a context and we apply the exact same approach, then we actually see a slight movement. If we add some buildings on top of it, then it starts to automatically create a more dynamic experience. This is a scenery and a scene creating the impression of movement. It's really important to get this right as soon as possible. Another important topic is regarding the control, and this is quite big, but we're just gonna focus on structure called ADSR, attack, decay, sustain, release, which is actually a term used in music. ADSR basically means that we modify how a player's input changes the interaction in the game. For example, let's say we have a character that when you want to move it to a direction, you press a button and we can instantaneously go to that speed, and that means that the attack is 0, and then once you hold the button, it sustains that velocity, but once you release it, it might be instant as the previous one, or it might have like a slight delay. And if you apply this for a car, for example, and let's say we have acceleration and deceleration, and as I'm playing with these values, we can actually get this kind of motion, which is the car cannot like achieve maximum top speed in an instant like in reality, and also for deceleration. But if we actually change them, and we can see it completely changes the gameplay. This is actually the difference between a game feeling snappy or floaty controls and tight controls. So it makes a huge difference. And last but not least, we have visual effects. They do not influence gameplay in any way. They just change the system visually, but they make such a huge impact that it's mandatory to have them. And in this book there are many classifications. I just want to go through a couple of them. And for example, visual ones, and here we can have particles, and in this case the particles that I've implemented for the car is when it reaches a certain speed, then it shows some motion. Coming up next is the camera field of vision, so this is more camera wise. So if we see here, as I increase the speed of the car, the camera's field of vision changes, it increases. It gives you this feeling of like this huge speed that the car has achieved, when in reality it actually is the same speed as before. It's just the camera. Also for the camera, some game developers might use camera shake. So for example, if we achieve high speed, then you might get a camera shake. And finally, if this is not enough, and usually it's out of the box, you just have to apply them, There are post-processing effects. A few of them might be color grading, motion blur, vignette, and other effects. I'm just applying a couple of them. As you can see, we also have some glow on the backlights of the car. So now it gives a proper feeling of a car racing through the streets of a city, and it gives the player the correct immersion. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel.